Hello and welcome to the She's Hot For Me interview series summit, where we're going to discuss how to get an attractive, high quality woman to commit to you. My name is Quincy Salonga, and my guest today, returning guest today, Mr. PJ Dixon. Thank you and welcome, PJ.
Thanks, brother. I'm really glad to be here to support you and all the gentlemen out there who really are looking to find a woman in their life or strengthen the relationship they already have.
Thank you. And there was a lot of viewers on the last interview series that seen your interview. For the new ones that are subscribing for this summit, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how and why you got started helping people? Go ahead, please.
Okay, sure. Absolutely. So you can see that I move a little bit funny, right? You can see the wheelchair behind. I'm a disabled man. I have a very rare form of muscular dystrophy that was expected to take my life at 7 years old. When I was 12 years old, there were 25 people in the world that have what I have. And now there's 73 people. A friend of mine just looked it up this weekend. Oh. So there's 73 people in the world that have what I have. And so if I have to have something, I got something cool, right? So I've lived a great life. Despite my disability, I have skydived, I indoor skydive, aqua jetpack, hike through the mountains in the Grand Canyon and climb the Grand Canyon with my friends, 10th degree martial artist, watercolor painter, author, international traveler. Like, I've lived an amazing life. And my life is not done yet, right? I was only expected to live until I was 7. I'm 49 in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And and I feel youthful. I feel alive and vibrant and energetic and ready to go. And so I know that I've got a lot of life left in me. But where did this start was your question, right? Just so people just have an understanding of who I am. Where did this start? If we rewind all the way, kindergarten through 6th grade, no problems. I mean, I walked with leg braces. I threw them away in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. In 6th grade, I was too weak to walk without them. So 6th and 7th and part of 8th grade, I walked with leg braces. But at some point in 7th and 8th grade, I started falling when I was walking with the leg braces. And I couldn't make it more than 10 or 20 feet without falling and trying to stand back up and falling and trying to stand back up. And so what I found was that my teachers and the principal were concerned for me, and my mom was obviously concerned for me, but my mom wanted to give me the chance to go as long as I could, right? And the teachers started calling her and saying, he can't walk anymore. Like, we're letting him out of class early so that he doesn't get knocked down, which is fine, but he walks 20 feet and he falls. And they were like, he needs a wheelchair. And so they put me into an electric wheelchair, and it's as if 7th and 8th grade wasn't tough enough, right? Because, puberty and all the hormone dumps and everything. And so in 7th and 8th grade, not only did I find myself in a position where the women didn't like me, girls didn't like me, but now I'm also completely and profoundly different because I can't walk and I'm in a wheelchair now, right? And my parents were going through divorce, and I was failing out of a lot of my classes. 7th and 8th grade were the worst, 8th grade especially the worst. And that's largely, more than anything, because of the way that I was perceiving life in that moment. I was only looking at the problems and the troubles and the difficulties that prior to that I never looked at before. And this is valuable because a lot of the men that are listening are probably looking at what they don't have versus what they do have. So transition into high school, all of a sudden I become friends with everybody. I'm still going through hormone dumps and puberty just like everybody else, but the difference is now I'm actually showing up for people. Prior to that, I was thinking only about myself. And when I started to show up for people, all of a sudden people started coming around. Guys and girls would come around and ask me for relationship advice. In fact, my mom used to ask me for relationship advice when we were kids. Not really advice, but she would talk to me. And, she spent 27, 29 years as a therapist, an art therapist. So I grew up with learning about people's psychology. And then so all the way back to high school, and even a little bit before that with my mom, I've always been in this world where I've been helping people to identify what's wrong with their relationship and how they could show up differently or better, or how they could actually get past that fear of walking up and talking to somebody. And, I still do that now, but now I just do it professionally. Additionally, I I had a situation, I'll be very brief so I don't take up too much of the time, but I had a situation when I moved out to Arizona when I was, I don't know, 27, I think, 27, 28 years old. I came out to Arizona. I had a spiritual experience where I was in meditation and uh, in prayer and then in meditation. And I had basically said, okay, God, I believe that I'm where I'm supposed to be. You know, please tell me what you want me to do. And I opened up and was just still. And this pillar of golden light came through the ceiling, hit me in the top of the head and filled me up with love. And I heard one word with light, actually, sorry. And I heard one word, love. And I knew in that moment that it didn't matter what I did, Quincy. What mattered is how I showed up for people, right? That I was loving them. And I thought, this is easy, man. I've been a motivational speaker since I was 7 years old. This is easy. This is what I've already been doing. Well, in April of the following year, so that was October, in April of the following year, I got hit by an SUV, tossed out into 3 lanes of traffic. And as I was flying through the air, I had time enough to do a quick prayer that said, God, please, whatever you do, don't let him roll over my pelvis. The front driver's side wheel came to rest leaning against my pelvis. Had he rolled 2 more inches, he would have crushed my pelvis. So fortunately, I wasn't meant to die that day. And I say that because there was an EMT team in the hospital or in the restaurant that this guy was pulling out of that saw it all go down, ran out, picked me up, took me across the street, bro, to the hospital. I wasn't meant to die that day. I spent 4 months in physical therapy, and on the very last day of physical therapy, my physical therapist was like, PJ, I don't know why you're in pain. And Quincy, when I say pain, like already, let me back up so people can just see me real quick, okay? I have a crazy curvature in my spine. You know, I don't know if you can get a good look at that or not, but you can see the distance between the back of the chair and where I sit normally, right?
Yeah.
Because it's basically like my belly button is sitting on the chair between my thighs, and then I curve my spine back up so I can be upright, okay? And I tell you that because, look, this is how much I can lift my arms, that much. And if I need to move them, I literally have to fling my own arm, okay? And so I already don't have much strength. And now I'm in physical pain for 4 months after the accident. I can't sit up on my own. I can't push my own wheelchair. I can't roll over. I can't shower myself because it hurts to sit. I can't cross my legs to feed myself. Nothing I can do. I can't do anything without pain. So literally for 4 months, I watched everything get stolen away from me. And I already didn't feel like I had very much. And so while I watched everything get stolen away from me and I started to spiral down into depression, my physical therapist said to me, I've tried everything. And this is kind of the crux. I want everybody to hear this. Okay, so this is the crux of the story. He said, I've tried every kind of methodology and modality that I could think of to help you. He said, I've consulted with every one of my professional journals. He's like, I've looked in all of my books from college. I've talked to all of my mentors and all of the staff here. And he said, I can't figure out why you're in pain. And he said, I talked to one other mentor just the other night who said, it might be that your pubic bone is popped out of place. So he palpated my pubic bone, and sure enough, Quincy, 4 months earlier, he could have popped my hip into place and everything would have been fine. But here's the point. When he sat down and he said, look, this is going to hurt. He's like, sure enough, your pubic bone is out of place. He's like, this is going to hurt. Do you want me to do it? And I said, yeah, I want you to do it. Is it going to make me feel better? And he's like, I think it probably will. And I said, then I want you to do it. Listen, men love challenges. And so what Quincy is doing is he's putting together this amazing summit for you to like look at yourself and admit that I'm not where I want to be. I'm in some kind of pain, emotional pain possibly. Maybe it's not pain, but just an emotional discomfort. I'm not where I really want to be. So you get to make a choice with Quincy's, with this summit. And you get to make a choice right now while you're listening to me. Are you willing to step into the pain to have what you really want? Because if you're not really willing to step into the pain, say no. Say no. Until you're ready, don't do this because you're just going to torture yourself. So he grabbed a hold of my pelvis bone and he said, this is going to hurt. And I said, go ahead. And he goes, pop! And he popped that thing into place. And I was like, ah! It was so incredibly painful. One of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my entire life. Popped that bone back into place, popped it back into place, and immediately all the pain was gone.
Oh,
Immediately, I was overwhelmed with a sense of appreciation. And when you fill up with appreciation, you spill out with gratitude. And immediately, when I felt the sense of gratitude, I started to feel a sense of love for my life and appreciation for the life that I thought that I had lost. I was experiencing, witnessing an appreciation for the life that I didn't really take, that I didn't really appreciate prior. I was taking it for granted, and I wasn't really grateful for what I actually had. And then, boom, he popped me back into place. The pain was gone, and all of a sudden, I was thrown back into the life that I had prior to the pain, and I was so profoundly grateful that within minutes and the corresponding days and weeks and months, I realized that that vision that I had had 10 months earlier at this point, where the pillar of light came through the ceiling, hit me, and filled me up with light and said, love, was not about me loving other people, because I was already doing that. It was about me learning to love myself and value myself and appreciate what I had and what I was doing for the world and how I was showing up. And because of that, I want everybody here to realize that if you really want to be the man that you want to be, the value is to look at yourself and go, I'm not happy where I am. What do I want? And step into the pain, step into the new ways of being, step into the new opportunities that exist for you, so you can actually embrace that sense of empowerment. Every man that I know wants to be challenged. Every man that I know wants to be held strong. Every man I know wants to be found attractive by the opposite sex or the same sex. It doesn't matter to me. Every human being I know wants somebody to love them. Every human being I know wants to be loved. And sometimes we get the chance to say, I'm not where I want to be because I'm out of alignment. I'm out of alignment because I didn't know how to be different. And now that I know how to be different, let Quincy and myself and the summit and all of the other experts pop you back into alignment. Yeah.
deep, intense, and inspirational. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let's get into the questions. First question I have for you, PJ.
Yes.
With this new age set of rules, the digital age, the high number of divorces, the high number of single parent families, it seems that relationships ain't as strong as they used to be.
Yeah.
May I get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. They're not, because I mean, look at all the media out there, right? That's showing men being players and women not getting what they want out of things, and then women are discontent, and so then they are trying to get more attention from the man, and then the man doesn't feel like he can give enough. The problem is, if we look at this whole situation, it really boils down to whether or not people are operating with integrity. There's masculinity and there's femininity. And I'm not suggesting that men always have to be masculine and women always have to be feminine. I'm suggesting more that we are a combination of both parts. And a friend of mine who is hyper masculine is like, no, I don't have any femininity in me whatsoever. I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. You really don't. He's like, but I am soft on occasion, you know? And I was like, yes, you are. And he's like, so I'll accept masculinity and a softer side of me. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, however you want to define it, that's 100% fine. And so we can look at a woman then in that same vein and say, okay, you're either feminine and with some parts of masculine, or you're feminine with some parts that can be a little bit harder if you need to. So, but we're talking to the men. So let's look at this for a minute. Most men are in this position right now globally where relationships are starting to fall apart because, and men don't like it when I say this, but I'm going to say it because this is what I believe, they're not showing up for their women, right? And I'm not suggesting that every relationship is this way. I do recognize that sometimes, man, I just got off a call with a client right now, and he is a dynamic man, a wonderful guy. And he's really, from my understanding, my observation, is really showing up for his wife and kids. But his wife isn't there for him, and she hasn't been for years. And she wants to continue to blame him. So I understand it goes both ways. So listen, the reason that things are falling apart is because men are lacking that level of masculinity, and so women don't feel safe. And when women don't feel safe, that they let that harder masculine side come out, and so then the men feel like they can't approach because the women put on that face, right, which we all know is like it looks like they're angry or mad and we don't want to approach. And so the good guys stay away.
Hmm.
So the good guys aren't finding themselves in relationships, long-lasting relationships. So who finds themselves in relationships? Guys and girls, men and women who, or adult males and adult women who, or adult males and adult females who are not actually secure with themselves, and they found themselves in the relationship out of habit, obligation. This is what I'm supposed to do, but they're not actually committed. They're not actually there nurturing and supporting the other relationship or the relationship. They're thinking about themselves and what they're getting or not getting. They're thinking about whether or not I have enough inside of me to pour into this relationship. It comes down to something very simple. People around the world are lacking that level of authenticity. This is a catchphrase nowadays. You're hearing it all over the world. I'm hearing it all over the world. Literally, and when I say all over the world, I genuinely mean all over the world. People all over the world are talking about this level of authenticity, this level of integrity. Are you being true to who you are? Because when you're not true to who you are, you can't show up in these relationships the way you want to show up. And then we want to blame and point fingers instead of stopping for a minute and going, hey, how am I showing up? There's a great book. And you know what, I can't say it's a great book, but I like the concept. I listened to the lady get interviewed a while back, and I like 95, 98% of what she was saying. A couple of things that I didn't necessarily agree with, but that's fine. The book is called It Takes One to Tango. It takes one to tango. Now, we've always heard it takes two to tango. There's two people in a relationship, right? And that's true. But the thing is that it's not just two people. Like, one person has to step across that line. One person has to say, you know what? That's what I want, and I'm going for it. And that's exactly the same when you're meeting somebody. One person has to walk across the bar or the restaurant or the park and say, hi, I noticed you from across the way, and I couldn't help but see that this color blue is beautiful for your skin. My name is PJ. What's your name? Oh, so sweet. Right? Whatever it is. And I'm not spitting a line, but if you have no reason to walk across that park or that restaurant or that bar, aside from the fact that there's something that you want, aside from the fact that you're stepping over there because you're like, oh, well, maybe I can hook up with this girl, or wow, I'm kind of lonely and she's very pretty and I'd love to be able to talk to her and see if maybe I can date her. Notice it's all like I, right? And that she's pretty. Well, that's great. She's pretty, but it's in your eye that she's pretty. So it's still about I versus looking at her and going, huh, I wonder who she is. That's still I. But when you wonder who she is, you're pouring into her. What you're pouring into her is attention, like genuine attention. Not like I'm pouring attention into you because of what I'm going to get, but I'm pouring attention into you because, like, I want to make this connection with you. Like, I want to give to you. Connection means it's giving and receiving. Am I making sense?
You're making a lot of sense.
Perfect. Hey, for some reason, my Amazon Echo is going off. Please hold on one sec.
No problem.
Alexa, please stop. I have no clue.
No problem. Related to what you were saying,
Yes.
there is a movement out there it's a philosophy that's being taught to men in the hundreds of thousands,
Yeah.
where a lot of these, it seems they're very frustrated men that, you know, with the high number of divorces and unsuccessful relationships. They're opting out of relationships in general, and they're teaching men to just stir away. It's bad news if you do get married and you do get a divorce. It's the term is gynocentric. It's catered for the women. You know that half of your stuff is more than half of your stuff is going to be gone. Your kids are going to be, you know, it's going to be in her favor. And there's a movement that's teaching men just live the promiscuous lifestyle and opt out of marriage completely. Teaching men that it's no longer valuable to search for great, passionate relationships. May I get your thoughts on that?
100%.
Please.
And the way I would do that is I would simply put a question to your audience. Do you want to be in an unhappy relationship, or do you want to be in a happy, healthy relationship? obviously is, we want to be in a healthy, happy relationship. However, what you're talking about is some men don't even want to be in a relationship. They just want to be able to hook up with a woman and then leave and go off and do his own thing. In nature, there are some animal species that do that. They come together for mating purposes and then they pretty much go away. Dolphins are very much like this. However, and many people would say, no, this whole marriage thing was invented. It's not natural. And you know what? Maybe it's natural, maybe it's not natural. I mean, if we go back to the earliest footprints, right? Some of the earliest footprints of hominoids, doesn't matter, bipedal, is two sets of footprints side by side, so close that they were very likely holding hands or had one arm around the other. So what does that say to us? It says that it's not just about sex. It says it's about moving together, right? It's about wanting to stay together. And that's our species. We're not talking dolphins or lions, right? We're talking human beings. And I genuinely believe that every human being, rephrase it. I genuinely believe that if relationships were easy, that most people would want to be in them, because people would feel like they were connected and understood. The thing is that when men want to go off, or women in this case, because we're having a movement this direction also with women, because men aren't showing up. So women are like, well, forget it. Then I'm not getting involved. I'm not going to get my heart broken again.
Yeah.
So when men are doing this, what they're really saying to me is, I don't have enough inside of me. I don't have enough love inside of me. I don't have enough character inside of me to actually want to contribute to a relationship. I only am there because I'm being selfish, and I'm there because of what I want. And this whole gynocentric where, okay, we break up and she gets more than half, and then I have to pay for the rest of my life and all of that. You don't have to, if you understand the dynamics of a healthy relationship. What are you bringing to the relationship? How are you showing up? What are you giving? The reason that men want to separate is because what they're really saying is, I'm lazy and I'm uncommitted and I'm afraid of intimacy and I'm disconnected from my emotions, and maybe I'm being harsh. And I would say there are some people out there who are really good people, and they're like, you know what? I just really like to be on my own. And I when I'm with a woman, I'm really with her and I love her up and I give her everything. But ultimately, I just seem to function a little bit better on my own. So there are some good men out there. But the vast majority of men who want to separate and are like, no, I'm never getting married, it's because they're selfish. It's because they're focused on themselves. And I don't believe that this is a good movement for the world. I don't believe the majority of divorces need to happen. In fact, I don't believe that people that get divorced, the majority of people want to get divorced. Now, there are some situations where one of you is in an abusive relationship. That's okay, get out, right? Because if they're not willing to look at themselves and stop and switch and change, then get out, protect yourself, protect your children. That's fine. I agree with that. However, this movement is really taking away from the intimacy of humanity. It's creating a segregation, a powerful, profound segregation between the men and the women. And it's creating basically a war. And that's not going to make things better for our children. That's not going to make things better for our world. And it might be a cycle. And I guarantee that if we cycle through it, we'll cycle out of it. Absolutely no, we will. But how long? 50 years? Right? Because that doesn't work. That's what do we teach our children in that case? Right? And then let's add to this, in a healthy, happy relationship, there's not the STD problem. We tend to not have to worry about the STD problem. But if you're out there having sex, well, I'm going to wrap that rascal. That's great. But condoms don't stop you from skin-to-skin contact, right? And they fall off. And only the skin on the palms of your hands and the bottoms of your feet are thick enough to resist herpes, for example.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm sure this is not the conversation you want to have, but look, man, and then what if you get her pregnant, but you don't really want to be with her? Now you have to pay anyway. 18 years, man, 18 years. She got you for 18 years, right? I mean, let's be real. Why is that better? It's only better because most men, when they say that this is better, it's only better because they're not connected to their own emotions. They're not willing to say, hey, babe, I'm scared. They're not willing to say, you know what, I want to be part of this relationship. They're not willing to help with housework. They're not willing to step up. And good men, really good men, probably the ones that are watching this, Quincy, and I truly mean that, because only good men are going to watch this, because you're one of the best men that I know.
Thank
And
you.
only good men, you're welcome. And only good men are going to watch this. And they're saying, that's great. I'm glad that we're talking about all these other men, but how do I meet a woman? How do I, the title of the summit is, you know, how to find that hot woman that's, you know, attracted to me, or whatever the phrase is. Forgive me, I messed it up, right? But you understand the point. And so the good men are waiting for us to say, hey man, this is how you walk across that floor.
Right
This is
on.
how you cross that chasm. This is how you say, okay, pop that hip back into place, realign me, let me move through the pain so that I can have what I want. Why else would a man be on here if he didn't really want a relationship? Yeah, he wants to get that attractive woman attracted to him. But if you're on this summit versus a pickup artist summit, or reading pickup artist books, or watching pickup artist stuff online, you're on here because you are committed to a relationship. You're not in the world of pickup. That's not what you want. You want to be authentic with who you are, not pretend to be somebody different than you are. That's one of the things I love about you, Quincy, is there's this beautiful, kind softness about you. And I love the authenticity that you show up with. You don't try and be hard. You don't try to be masculine. You just open up your heart and love everybody, man. That's why you're a remarkable human being. That's why you're a remarkable man, because you're authentic. To circle all the way back to that. There's not a man on this summit who's not making an effort and desiring to be the most authentic that he can be. And so every man that's on this summit just wants us to get past this question and the question prior and say, how do I meet somebody though? How do I walk across that floor? What do I say to her? How do I get her, that attractive woman, to fall for me and want to stay with me? Right? Does that make
Yes.
sense? Do you agree? Tell me what you feel about what I'm saying. If
I,
I'm wrong,
I,
challenge me.
the basis of this summit is being authentic, and
Yes.
and and the only way for a woman to see a man of value is a man must first see himself as a person of value, and that's the basis of this summit. So sir, you are hitting it hard. and uh,
Yes,
and
I agree with you, man. Like, when men show up in their authenticity, part of that authenticity is a sense of power. Like,
yes.
you're a soft, quiet guy, but if you needed to step up for your lady, I 100% believe you would. You're a soft, quiet spoken guy, but I believe that you're willing to do the physical work that stereotypically, you know, men do, right? And
Yes.
I look, like, this level of authenticity is exactly what we're talking about. Every man, I hope there, can feel a tingling sensation in their spine and in their brain right now, because I'm feeling it. I want you to be like, yes, I want to be empowered. Yes, I want to step up. Yes, I want to be authentic, but I'm a little bit afraid because I've got some stuff in my way. Dude, you know how you get success? Shift. The most important thing that you can do, the most successful people in the world, shift quickly. But let me back it up and make it even more clear, okay? Shifting into what? Shifting into your power, shifting into your humor, shifting into your ability to listen, shifting into your curiosity, shifting into your romance. Shift. Women are like, oh my God, I don't know what's coming next, right? And women are like, I'm kind of curious because I'm always surprised by what he's going to do. And so this draws them in. They want to know, they want to spend time with you because they don't know what's going to happen. Shift from the restaurant to the ice cream parlor. Shift from the ice cream parlor to the coffee shop. If you're having a conversation with a girl and you're out on a date, shift and go somewhere else. Go and say, hey, you know what? Let's get out of here. Okay, where are we going? Right? I'm all tingly right now because they're going to be all excited. Like, where are we going to go? This is important. And so what happens is you become a man who is there supporting and nurturing her and giving to her. And every time she's with you, she associates this like excitement with you. This is how you get a woman to fall for you. This is not the only way. There's other pieces, right? There's building a rapport with her. And there was another piece that I wanted to say. I got off on a tangent. So I can't remember what the other piece is, but if I remember it, I'll come back to it, because I want the guys that are watching this to have the most amazing dynamic relationships of their life. I want the men that are watching this to be the men that look, the one, you know what, I'm going to say it this way, because this will cover everything. I love this. This is one of my favorite quotes. I'm gotta close my eyes so I can get it correct in my head. Forgive me, I don't know who said it. I wrote the foreword for a friend of mine's book, and I put it in the foreword of the book. A good man does not make his woman jealous.
Oh.
Let me rephrase it. Actually, I think he says, a good man does not make his girl jealous. A good man makes his ladies' friends jealous.
Oh.
That's juicy and delicious. Right? A good man does not make his lady jealous. Oh, I'm gonna talk to this lady over here. Boy, you just relax. I'll be back. No, that's not a good man. That's a selfish man. A good man does not make his woman jealous or his lady jealous. A good man makes his lady's girlfriends jealous, because then all of the girlfriends are like, oh my God, I wish I had a man like PJ. Oh my God, I wish I had a man like Quincy. Oh my God, I wish I had a man like right? He's so lucky. He's such a good man. And then the woman goes, yeah, I am very fortunate. He's one of the best men I've ever met. Men, gentlemen, listen to me. Do you want to be one of the most amazing men a woman's ever met? Do you want every woman that ever meets you to say, wow, I love who you are. I love how you show up. I really respect you. Thank you so much for being there. Even if they're just your friends. Who do you want to be? Challenge yourself. Step up. Be courageous enough to watch every one of these videos with Quincy. Take the direction from the experts. Go ahead. I just get excited. You know how I am.
And I love it. I love it. I'm at the tip of my chair, just like whoa, I'm with you.
Yeah, me too, dude. Like, I want to get up on my team. Like, let's get a team of guys together, right? That want to learn what it means to be a good man, what it means to get past their fears. Because look, I know exactly what I was going to say. This is important. So the 4 steps to being successful, right? Because I went off on shifting. The 4 steps to being successful. Number 1, remove the obstacles and the blocks. Dude, that's the problem right there. Remove the obstacles and the blocks. The fear that keeps you from walking across the bar or the restaurant or the park. Remove the fear and the obstacle of I don't know what to say, right? Remove the obstacle of I'm so nervous I'm going to talk about myself, right? The second step then is identify what it is, clearly identify what it is that you want in your future, the kind of woman that you want, as well as the kind of relationship, more importantly, the kind of relationship that you want, and then let that dictate the kind of woman that you want. Don't do it backwards. Well, this is the kind of woman I want so I can have this relationship. No, this is the kind of relationship I want so that I can pour into it and know that this is what I want. So I'm going to pour into it. And this is the kind of woman that I need for that kind of relationship. It's the relationship. It's not the woman. Because if you're saying, oh, this is the kind of woman that I want, what you're saying is what I want, right? That's stingy. That's greedy. That's selfish. Instead of saying, actually, this is the relationship that I want, knowing that I get to pour into that from my side and I get to find a woman that pours into it from her side. It's a mutually beneficial love relationship. So number 1, remove the obstacles. Number 2, clearly identify the relationship that you want. And then after that, what kind of woman would support that relationship? Number 3, get your buns into action. Get up off the couch, walk across that bar, that restaurant, or that park. Go say hello to somebody. Buy a girl a coffee at a coffee shop. You know, when you shake a woman's hand, don't shake her, right? When you shake a woman's hand, when you first meet her, if you're like, wow, she's really attractive, and my little heart's going pitter patter, instead of just shaking her hand, grab her fingers and spin her around and then shake her hand and look her right in the eyes and say, it's really nice to meet you. All of a sudden, she'll be like, whoa, who is that guy? Why? Because if you spin a woman around, it releases the dopamine. And also, she's expecting to shake your hand, not be spun around, like on the dance floor, spin around one time, and then shake her hand and look her right in the eyes and say, it's my pleasure. It's really nice to meet you, right? And then the results that you want come. That's the 4 steps to success, right? With a little hint of juicy delicious in the middle.
Let's just, PJ, can we just back it up just a little bit on the traits? I mean, we were talking about being authentic and knowing that the type of relationship you want to get into and what you can pour in and not be selfish. What are the traits of an attractive man that for men that are, because there's a confusion. There's a confusion now because the men are scared to be, what's being taught is you need to be more leader, you need to be more dominant, you know. your voice needs to be a little bit deeper, and there's fear that women might look at them as toxic masculine pig. uh, and then also, if they're too of that, hey, I'm a nice guy, and then you end up being that friends only guy. uh, what are the traits of an attractive man?
Authenticity, integrity, honesty, charisma,
Ooh, yeah.
gentleness, humor, courage, ambition, motivation, drive, tenderness, with your mom, with your own mom, with your own sister, with children. These are the things that are attractive. And look, we could actually say, well, I don't know, we'd have to sit and talk to the women, and each individual woman is different, but ultimately the most attractive people are the ones that are the most authentic. And but
Yes.
but listen, the most authentic, let me try again, right? The most authentic are the ones that have removed the obstacles and the blocks to their personality. These obstacles and blocks sometimes protect us from being vulnerable. And so men often will protect that. That's not being authentic, that's being scared. So when you remove the things that make you afraid and you just let who you want to be and who you really are naturally come out, that's what is attractive. And that's one of the things that I really love and respect about you is you don't make an effort to put on this deeper voice like, like you did a moment ago. Because if everybody watched Quincy a moment ago, and if you can rewind the video and watch him like 3 minutes ago when he's doing this, watch how soft and kind he is, and then watch when he tried to turn on this like man voice, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can see where you're trying to pretend to be somebody that you're not really. That's not authentic. That's not attractive. That says, I can't trust you. You're lying. You're hiding. But when you are authentic and you live in your integrity and you're honest, but not cruel, not mean, not disrespectful, but honest and open, and you have the ability to communicate effectively, and you're emotionally connected, and you're willing to have conversations at an emotional level, even if you're like, babe, I don't know, can you give me some time to really think about that? Because I don't feel it as fast as you do. And that's the truth. Men don't feel emotions typically as quickly as women do, generally speaking. And so I have to circle all the way back to authenticity. But you know what it takes to be authentic? Being courageous enough to drop those blocks, to be courageous enough to drop those obstacles, to be courageous enough to set down the shield and take off the breastplate, take the helmet off. Because a woman doesn't want to hug a man in armor. A woman wants to hug a man she can feel his warm chest against her warm chest. But if all she's feeling is that cold shell, that cold armor, that shield, if she can't touch his hair because he's got a helmet on, that's not attractive to her. She might appreciate that ability for you to turn that on when you need to take care of some kind of business. But I mean, that's a different kind of metaphor. But when a woman wants to be connected to a man and wants to feel safe, she needs to be able to feel his chest. She needs to be able to feel his heart. She needs to be able to see his face, not hidden behind a helmet. She needs to be able to be embraced by his arms. And you can't embrace if you have a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. It's time to drop the weapons. It's time to take off the armor, set down the shield. Put it off to the side. If you need it later, pick it up. But don't pick it up with her. Never pick it up with her again. Pick it up for her. Pick it up for her to protect her. Maybe from herself sometimes, maybe from other people. But don't put it on with her. Just for her. Does that make sense, brother?
That makes a lot of sense, and I love that. I love that metaphor, that analogy. I love it. I love it. Next question is for men that have a pattern of unsuccessful relationships, who are frustrated, who have a limiting belief about themselves because of the rejections as well. Who might have a self-talk about them, like, this failed for me, this failed for me. They already said I was too heavy. They already said I was too short. They already said I was too freckly, I was too this color or that color, or my hair is not long. Whatever those negative self-talks that they have in their head that's preventing them from pursuing and living a great lifestyle slash relationship. uh you got advice for men that can break out of that and get into motivation and self-development and and
Go.
and yeah, motivation, self-development, and self-esteem building.
Mm. Absolutely. And that circles back to what I was saying before, right? The number one thing, the number one step towards success is removing the obstacles in the box. And that's mental chatter. So one of the things that's really valuable for a man to do is to look at something as it really is versus worse than it is. And what we tend to do as human beings, especially when we as men are the ones who stereotypically, again, are supposed to walk across that bar, restaurant, or park just to, or in the coffee shop to just say hi first instead of having the girl do it. And sometimes we're attracted to someone and she doesn't know that she's supposed to give the clue or the indication to come and talk to us. And so what happens is that dialogue starts to run in our head that says, oh, I don't have anything to say. I'm not very interesting.
Yes.
She's really
Yes.
attractive anyway. So number one, is any of that true? Ask yourself, is this true? Or is this a story I'm making up? Like, let's be honest right now. Instead of seeing it worse than it is or better than it is, let's look at it. Is it really true that I don't have anything to say? Well, I don't know what to say. Okay, so is it true that you don't have anything to say or you don't know what to say? Well, okay, I don't know what to say. Fantastic. So what would you like to talk about? What are you interested in? Well, I'm really interested in this. Okay, cool. So wouldn't it be great if you found a woman that was also interested in that? Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we know what's important to you. So let's be the second step. First step, right, is that see things as they really are, not worse or better. Okay. Second step is identify, is it really true what's being said in your head, or is it a made up story? Usually it's a story, okay? Because, well, I don't know, I don't have anything to say. If you go over there and you talk to her, and let's say you're into physics, because I'm a big science nerd and I love physics, right? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really interested. I'm studying for my physics exam. And you're like, oh my God, will you marry me? Right? Because I think I found my dream. I can't even talk. I get so excited, right? And so what if you did have something to talk about? Well, I don't know what to say. Okay, then what do you like to talk about? So that would be like kind of step number 3, right? What do you like to talk about? And then find a way like, I really like to talk about this. Okay, great. Before you like to talk about that, pause for a second and analyze, what is it that you want? Why do you want to go across there? Well, because she's hot, because I really want to talk to her. Okay, is that about you or her? Well, it's about me, right? It's what I want. Fantastic. What do you think she might want? I don't know. That's why I'm on the summit. Exactly. Right? Because this is where the shift needs to happen. It needs to happen in all the other steps. Okay? See it as it is, not worse than or better than. Okay? Identify what it is that you like to talk about. Is it really true, whatever is being said in your head? Identify what you really want to talk about. And then say, she seems like she's classy, she's beautiful, she probably gets people walking up to her all the time, and they walk up to her because they want something. So what can I give to her? How can I be interesting to her? How can I find out something about her? Oh, women love to talk. Oh, right. Okay, women love to talk. What do they like to talk about? I don't know, things that they're interested in. Okay, what are they interested in? Purses and shoes? Okay, and what else? Right? Well, most women like to talk about concepts, ideas, not people. They like to talk, I mean, they will a little bit, but women want their brains to be stimulated also. And when their brains are stimulated, their heart gets stimulated. Okay? And so men don't know that. And so if you go over and you strike up a fascinating conversation with her, you walk over and you're like, hey, my name is PJ, and I saw you across the way, and forgive me, I don't know what I want to talk to you about. I was just drawn and attracted to you. What's your name? And she's going to say, oh, wow, refreshing. My name is Jennifer. And you say, hey, Jennifer, it's really my pleasure to meet you. Can I ask you a very simple personal question? Like, for example, What do you like to do on your free time? What are the things that you're interested in? Do you like to read? Do you like to hike? What do you like to do? And what if she says, oh, you know what? I actually like to read and I hike on weekends sometimes. Wow, it's amazing. I do too. Have you hiked around? All of a sudden we're in a conversation because all of a sudden we found a common denominator. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Yes.
So you want to walk across there with the intent to find a common denominator. What if you just say, hey, I don't know what to say, you know, and I'm nervous and I'm, you know, a little bit shy right now, and please forgive me. I mean, this isn't who I normally am, but I want to make a good impression. So if I were to walk across the room again and come over, what advice would you give me to what should I talk to you about? And she's gonna be like, oh, I'm interested in, she might say, I don't know. You say, great. If you, you know, even though you don't know, would your unconscious mind like to talk about hiking, or are you into nature, or do you like reading? I don't know. I guess I like this. Fantastic. You know, and then all of a sudden she's told you what she likes. You can start to talk to her about that. You'll be the most unusual person she's ever met because she's never had somebody walk up to her like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we rewind all the way back to stage number one. See it as it is, not worse than or better than. Then ask yourself, the crap that's been going on in your head, is that stuff actually true, or is it just story? And is it keeping you back? Is it saying these things because your primal brain is saying, because all of this is primal brain stuff, bro. Like this is literally fight or flight stuff. And you're listening to that stuff in your brain. It's not your conscious brain saying this. It's not even your unconscious brain. It's a part of your unconscious brain called the fight or flight area, or the primal processing area, right? It's designed specifically to keep you away from pain. You walk across the bar, the restaurant, or the park, and she's like, I ain't interested. And you're like, oh. The walk of shame for a man is walking back across the bar. The walk of shame for a woman is leaving a man's house the next morning, right? The walk of shame happens much quicker for a dude than it does for a lady, right? And if you're a really good gentleman, she never has a walk of shame because you take her home, right? And then she doesn't feel bad about herself. She feels like you loved her up and nurtured her and she matters. Then there's no walk of shame because you're an amazing man. Then again, you're a different man than she's ever been with. Right? And so if you listen to that mental chatter that's saying, well, you don't know what to say, I don't know what to say, and what if I look stupid, and all these people are watching, that's your primal process saying, run, 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 this is scary, run. But Tom Petty wrote that song called, I don't even remember what it's called, but the words are, you can stand me up at the gates of hell and I won't back down. Most men want to be seen as strong. Most men want to stand up for what they believe is right. Yet they let that primal process in the brain make them weak, make them afraid. Stand up to that. Ask yourself, is this true, or is this just being said because I'm afraid? And you know what? Afraid means that you're lacking in confidence. And when we're lacking in confidence, it's because we're lacking in competence. We're lacking in competence because we're afraid to make mistakes. And so we don't make mistakes. We don't learn from them. Yet every time I make a mistake, I get the chance to learn from it. I think it's E.T., Eric Thomas, who says, every time you get knocked down, pick something back up, right? And one of my favorite samurai sayings is, get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. How can you get up 8 if you've been knocked down 7? Knock down once, get up once. Knock down twice, get up twice. Some people don't even get up in the morning, right? Some people don't get off that bar stool, get up off that bar stool to go over and talk to a girl and get knocked down only to get up, right? She knocked you down once. You've already stood up twice, right? So don't be afraid. But instead, and this is easy for me to say, don't be afraid. One of the best ways for you not to be afraid is to simply say, okay, how can I demonstrate interest in her? How can I learn about her? What do I want to know about her? What is she interested in? What do you like to read? Do you like to read? Do you like to hike? Right? What brought you here tonight? That's kind of not as good because, oh, well, I'm meeting some friends. Okay, conversation's dead. Versus, can I get to know you? And the moment you start to get past that, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. What do you do for a living? What are you here for? Once we get past all of that crap, that's all surface. Once we delve deep, if you start a conversation with a girl who's waiting for her girlfriends to show up, and the girlfriends show up in 5 minutes after the time you start, and that conversation drops deep right away, she's going to want to give you her number. because you went to the core. You talked about something that's interesting for her. But most men don't do this, do they? You know, Quincy, do most men do this? Or do most men just want to, like, hey, how are you? What are you doing here? What do you do for a living? What's your name? Pretty dress versus,
all the same.
yeah,
All the same.
yeah, but good men don't do that. Good men say, hey, I want to know about you. So let's talk about you. What are you interested in? But genuinely, right? Some of you might have heard of Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is kind of a business mogul and real estate mogul right now. And Grant Cardone asked his wife out 26 or 27 times over the course of 13 months before she said yes to even go out with him. That's hardcore. And every time he called her with something that he wanted to learn about her. He demonstrated interest in her. And eventually she said yes. So how dedicated are you, gentlemen? How courageous are you, gentlemen? Does one no turn you away? Do you tuck tail and run? Because if that's the case, you're not the alpha. Sometimes women test us to see whether or not we're really, truly honest and sincere. And sometimes the men that win, many times the men that win, are the ones that are the most persistent. They don't quit. They say, this is what I want. And I'm going to be respectful and operate with the highest level of kindness and love. But I'm also going to keep asking you out. Not in a bad way, not in a creepy way, not in a way that makes you uncomfortable. Just, hey, are you, I'd still love to take you for coffee. And am I still in the holding pattern? Can we go out? Or, hey, what do you think about maybe going for a walk on Friday afternoon? No, I can't. Okay, no worries. I'll give you a call in a couple weeks. Maybe we can get together. So you preface it that she knows that you're going to call. But you have to be interesting. Don't call and be this creepy boy, right? Call because you actually want to know about her and be genuinely interested, and not just ask her questions like your interview. But the little guy in the wheelchair said, I got to ask her a bunch of questions and learn about her. You don't really care, right? You're looking to make a connection. You're looking to find things that she's interested in, that you're interested in, so you can have a real conversation. You're like, oh my God, I love that too. That's fascinating. Have you read this book? Have you done this? Have you gone to that hike? Oh no, you haven't done that hike. Oh my gosh, we should totally do that hike sometime. How about this hike? Oh, you've done that hike. Oh, I remember that rock formation that looks like President Lincoln. And what about the jump off into the water? Did you do that jump off into the water? Oh my God, you didn't do that. It's so much fun. You should do that. You know what I mean? Find a connection so the two of you are having a conversation, not interviewing her, not stalking her, nurturing and giving to her, pouring into her so she feels. Remember in the beginning when I said, look, if you're there just trying to see what you can get out of the relationship, oh, I like her because she's hot, versus what do I want in a relationship? And now that I know what I want in a relationship, I know how I'm going to pour. Now what kind of woman is going to be on the other side of that relationship to bond this with me, to create this relationship with me, right? You've got to make sure that you're pouring into the relationship, and pour into the relationship with a woman that your standards are high with. But for you to get a woman whose standards are high, right? And for you to hold your standards high and be like, oh, no, this is the kind of woman I want. Fantastic. What kind of woman does that man, or what kind of man does that woman deserve? Are you the right man? Because if you're not, she's never going to say yes. You get to hold yourself even higher. If your standards are super high for a beautiful woman, then you need to make sure your standards are super high for you, so she's getting something juicy and delicious in return. Let me say this too, one more thing, okay? I was talking to a Buddhist monk one time, and I've actually had Buddhist monks and nuns tell me the same thing. We think that Buddhists should, they shave their head and they, walk around, right? And they don't see beauty, and they've turned off their sexuality and all of that. Look, I've had Buddhist monks and nuns say, you should look beautiful. You should be attractive. You should wear nice clothes. You should make sure your hair is cut. You should make sure your teeth are brushed and your face is shaved, unlike mine today. But sometimes I like that rugged look, on occasion. And the reason is because when you do that, you are sharing something beautiful with the rest of the world. When a woman makes herself look beautiful, she's a jewel for our eyes, for our heart, that we can see that and drink in that beauty. She's giving us a gift. Are we being the same kind of gift back to her or back to other women? Are we showing up in our nice clothes? Are we showing up with high levels of standards? Are we showing up with motivation? Are we showing up in a way where we have drive in our life? Are we showing up with money in our pockets so she knows she'll be taken care of? Are we showing up with good hygiene? Are we showing up where we're interesting and fascinating to talk to? Are we showing up in a way that her family really likes us and trusts us with her, right? How are you showing up as a man? Are you up-leveling yourself? Have you waxed your back lately? If not, go wax your back. You know what I mean? I mean, the truth is, like, think about the kind of woman you want to be with and think about the kind of man that she would like to be with, and then become that man. It doesn't mean that you're out of integrity. What it means is that you're holding your integrity high and you're removing all the blocks, fears, worries, and doubts about yourself and the low level of energy and the low level of drive. You're removing all of those obstacles so that you can get out of life what you want. When you raise your standards after you've gotten rid of the obstacles, as you get rid of a single obstacle, your standards go up. The only thing holding us down is our belief system, our programming, our fears, our worries. All of those are beliefs. All of those are programming. What if you look at yourself and go, who do I really truly want to be? And what if you're actually setting yourself free, not becoming somebody different, but setting yourself free to be the authentic, the truly dynamic, powerful, strong, caring, loving, committed, emotionally sensitive and aware man that your woman in the relationship you want is attracted to. Does that make sense, brah?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Hold your standards high, brah. Hold your standards high, guys. Right? For yourself so that you can attract the woman that you want. And if you're not willing to do that, well, then look at the kind of relationship that you want. And if the kind of relationship that you want, what are you willing to pour in to get that relationship? What's your 50%? You know what? It's not even a 50%. That's a falsehood. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. Are you pouring into the relationship 100%? And if not, she's not going to, because she's not going to feel safe. And if she doesn't pour in 100%, you're not going to. You're going to pull back because you don't feel safe. So it's 100%, 100%. If you're really committed, then commit to yourself first so you can commit to her 100%. And part of committing to yourself is removing the obstacles, the blocks, the fears, worries, and doubts. Make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool.
You answered my last question already before I got to it about what the ingredients of a long-lasting relationship.
Yeah.
And
the short version of that is maintaining when you look at her and you're like, wow, what kind of man does she deserve? Not me. She doesn't deserve me. She doesn't deserve you. Not that version of you.
Yes.
What she deserves is the authentic you, the dynamic, powerful you that's in there when you remove the I'm not good enough, when you remove the I'm afraid, when you remove the I don't have motivation, when you remove the I don't believe I can do it, right? And you start to reveal and open yourself up. That's when all of a sudden you start to become empowered and you start to become attractive. Okay?
Once again, a beautiful interview. But PJ, thank you so much for your wisdom. Your PJ, you are a great mentor. Beautiful guy, you are.
I appreciate that. I'm very, very honored by that because I think the world of you also.
Thank you.
Very, very honored. Yeah. Thank you.
Can we close out letting people know where they can find you, your website, the programs and coaching you offer, and also if you can discuss your free gift, the Discover True Love Conversation.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the best places to find me is my website, pjswisdom.com. A bit under construction, but it gives you an idea of who I am, pjswisdom.com, pjswisdom.com. I'm sure Quincy will have it in the notes. And additionally, if anybody is feeling like, yeah, but I don't know how to do some of that stuff that you're talking about, and it's great, and I really want to be that man that you're talking about, but I'm a little afraid, and I don't know how to get past my own obstacles, and I'm nervous, and I'm still worried, then reach out. Like sometimes a free gift of here, just pick up my free meditation, download, or my free PDF. Sometimes those are great. Or here, I'm going to give you a book. Sometimes those are great. But sometimes the best thing is just to be like, dude, can I talk to you? Can I like talk to you about what's going on in my life?
Yes.
Talk to you about where I am? Can I talk to you about my current relationship? Can I talk to you about why I haven't been in a relationship in 16 years or whatever?
Ooh.
Absolutely. So when Quincy said discovering true love conversation, I set aside 20 minutes of free call conversation with me. So you can sit down and tell me where you are and what's going on with you, and I can give you some feedback. And honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest, just so people know. If I like you and you like me, I'll probably extend an offer for you to work with me. But there's no obligation. Sign up, and there's no hard sale. Like, sign up for the free conversation, because I care more about where you are um, than about selling you anything. And if you like me and you're like, yeah, you know what, I do need some help, great. Don't worry about that later. But take advantage of somebody who's willing to sit down and have a real conversation with you,
Nice.
right? It's free. It's my gift to you, right? Completely. And if you're like, dude, I don't want to be sold, cool. We won't even talk about it. Call me and we'll do the 20 minutes, right? Because I'm here to give to you. I'm here to make your life and your world better.
Right on, PJ. And before we close, is there something else you'd like to say to the audience before we close, to the men that are watching?
Give me a second. When you look in the mirror, breathe in through your heart, either in through your chest and into your heart, or in through your nose and down into your heart, and breathe in kindness, gentleness, love, patience, generosity, kindness. And when you exhale, exhale through your mouth. When you exhale through your mouth, exhale a long, slow breath and push it down. Quincy knows this meditation because I taught this before. Push that meditation, or that breath, with force down into your lower body, from your toes up to your waistline. And then when you breathe in again, breathe in the kindness and the patience and the love and all of that. And when you exhale again, exhale forcibly and push that energy down into your lower body. Do this while you're looking in the mirror. And what will happen is you'll watch yourself transform into a man who has an open heart, but is powerfully and strong and grounded and is masculine. And this is balance. And then look at how you're standing and ask yourself, could I pull my shoulders back and think more of myself? Could I spread my feet a little bit and create a broader base and a more stable stance that also looks like I'm more stable? And that's what women need. They need stability, right? And then look at yourself and identify, I'm not a bad guy. I'm actually a really good man. Identify your heart, your kindness, and your intention. When you do that, you'll move through the world in a better way, because what will happen is you will care more about other people than you do yourself. Now listen, you got to care about yourself so that you can take care of other people, but make sure that taking care of other people and being there for other people is part of your character and who you are. It'll make you feel better, and women will take notice.
Thanks again, PJ. Thank you so much, friend.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the She's Hot for Me interview series summit. We'll see you at the next interview. Aloha and mahalo.
Aloha, mahalo. Hey guys, it's me, PJ again. This is a quick PS. I know nobody else is doing this, but I just asked Quincy, please let me do this, because this is what's really important. The world needs good men, and you're not watching Quincy's summit if you're not already a good man. But the world needs good men to show up, and women are looking for good men. So women are looking for good women sometimes too. Good women are looking for good men. So don't be afraid. They literally are waiting for you to show up. They just want you to show up in your authenticity. Don't be afraid. Find a way to step forward. The world needs good men, and you wouldn't be on this summit if you weren't already a good man. And even though you might have done some things in the past that you didn't like and that you're kind of beating yourself up about, that's yesterday. Change who you are. Recognize that you'll never do it again. Identify how you'll show up differently and better next time, and then move forward as this new, better, improved person. Let go of the obstacles so the real, authentic you can show up. The world needs good men, and you wouldn't be here if you weren't one.
Lovely. Lovely. Thanks again, PJ.
Thanks, man.